Hi everybody, I just want to do a very quick video here today, and I just want to talk about what's being discussed here in Ireland at the moment. In the primary schools I'm going to focus in on more here today. It's about the SPHE and the RSE, just the sex education here in Ireland in the primary schools. It's very alarming actually, and I just had a quick look at it and I just picked out some things that are standing out to me, which I would call red flags. And I'm just going to go down through them with you. So first of all, we have SPHE, and a lot of people might say, what is SPHE? It's the social, personal and health education. Now, not giving away, I suppose, my age or anything, but when we went to school, there was none of this. We didn't have SPHE. And to be quite, honest, we turned out fine. Well, I mean, some people will debate that now, but... Now also we'll go on to the RSE, which is relationships and sexuality education. Again, this is all new. When we were going to school, there was none of this. In actual fact, when we went to school, it was a lot more innocent, we learnt the core subjects, you had fun, everything was more at a child level and more innocent. And, just what's been, forced on the children here nowadays is shocking really when you think about it, and it's just taken away their innocence, it's taken away their childhood as well. So what they're saying now is that 5th and 6th class are going to have these well-being programs where they'll be talking about sexual orientations, including homosexuality and bisexuality. Now the problem I have with that is, and it's nothing against people that are bisexual or that who are homosexual. I just think any sexuality does not belong at primary school level. I think it should be secondary school. They're far too young. They're just way too young. And I just feel like you're just taking away the innocence from children. You're putting immense pressure on children. Like a child's brain at this age isn't fully developed. Even in secondary school, it's not fully developed. And even emotionally, you can imagine like the maturity and how children are emotionally at this age, and then to be kind of hurling all this at them, it's just too much. They're too young, it's too much, and it's wrong. Now puberty will be taught earlier as well, so they're going to introduce the topic of puberty at 3rd class. Now let's just step back here a minute. Right, 3rd class. Now, the average age of a child here in Ireland in 3rd class would be 8 or 9. 8 or 9, lads, they want to talk about puberty. Now, this had previously been done in 6th class. Now, in 5th and 6th, where you could say the age of the children in 5th and 6th, here in Ireland, we'll say in 6th class a child would either be 11 or 12. In 5th class, they would be, I suppose, 9 or 10. Am I correct in saying that? Yeah, I would be, yeah. Because some children are going to school younger. Yes, some of them are a bit older, but there is a variation, I suppose, in age with children in school. So, like, this is very, very young. Now, this has all been brought in by Helen McEntee. And again, watch her language, always watch their language and their wording. And of course, the usual buzzwords, empowering, inclusive, they just love that word, don't they? But if you've got a different opinion to them, you will soon and very fast learn how inclusive they are. That I can guarantee you. Now, they're also going to be talking about consent. Can you imagine talking about consent to children in primary school of this age? And like, to be honest, people, this is sickening. It's sickening now. Now, I'll just pause it here and I'll go on to a few other things. I just want to talk here now, and I don't want to make the video too long, okay? Just about the whole sexuality side of things. So we're talking here about primary school children, okay? They're going to be taught now about puberty as young as 3rd class. So we're talking about the age 8 or 9, okay? Which is very young. Up then into 5th and 6th, they're really going to be pushing it onto them. They're going to be talking about sexual orientations, homosexuality and bisexuality. And this is at the age then of, say, 9 up to 12, very, very, very young children. And as I said, they're too young. Let them be children. Let them be free and innocent. They shouldn't have to worry about this. Stop sexualising children. And, they're not, developed, emotionally they're not developed. Their brains aren't fully developed. Their maturity. And to be kind of, hurling all this at these children, it just is wrong on so many levels. I just feel like now you can say good luck and thanks now to innocence for children in school. It's gone. Out the door, out the window, gone. You know, they're going to be going in now and they've enough pressures to be worrying about and they've enough things to be worrying about. Now they have all this now. They're putting the worry of sexuality on very young children. And I have a message here for Helen McEntee here today. And instead of bringing all this in to these young children and causing them more stress, worry, anxiety, confusion, what about all the bullying that's going on in schools? We've a fierce problem here in Ireland with bullying in our schools, not just in primary but in secondary. It's a big subject and topic that they don't want to talk about. They sweep it under the carpet, and the principals are the same. They protect the bullies, a lot of these, and there's a lot of children that are on medications, okay? They're on anti-anxiety medications, antidepressant medications. They're going to the likes of CAMS. They're suffering from depression, anxiety because of bullying. And in the worst case scenario, we have children that are taking their own lives because of bullying. But nothing about this with all her inclusive and her empowering. A load of BS, people. Absolute load of BS. And it certainly won't be empowering children when you're talking about sexuality to them. That is certainly not going to be empowering them. And as I said then, consent. Well, that's another level of depravity and sickness to be talking about young children in primary school about consent. I mean, Ireland, where are you going? What direction are you going? But it's up to people now to speak up, okay? I'm only one person, but I am calling on other people to speak up. You know, if your parents, are you happy about this in your, primary school for your children? You have to speak up, people. Now, just touching on that, I want to touch on something else as well. There's another few things that they were talking about. You see, always, you know, as I say, look at the wording, look at the language. But they're on about world religions then. They want to bring this in now to all the primary schools where they have to learn about world religions regardless of the ethos of the school. So if your children, you know, there's parents there, they're sending their kids or children there to a primary school that's Catholic, maybe it's Protestant, maybe it's Muslim. Okay, we're not all the religions in. And it doesn't matter, you know, you might think, my Johnny or my Mary's going to a Catholic school and, you know, this won't happen in a Catholic school. It will. And people need to, wake up to that. It is going to happen because they're bringing this in now, all the schools across the board. You know, it doesn't matter the religious ethos of the school. They'll have to learn about world religions. That is a red flag to me. And to me, that would be all the New World Order, and some people like to call it the One World Order. And again, you have to go on to the one world religion. You can just see the direction where we're going here. Also, what kind of stood out for me, they talked about new forms of dance, and people will say to me, now Marion, come on, but I would not be surprised or shocked if they're learning belly dancing even in primary school. It would not surprise me. Even, I'm just going to say it right out, pole dancing even at this stage wouldn't surprise me, because that seems to be the direction we're going, just sexualising children. Very, very disturbing. Now, just to go back then as well, also they're going to be learning about foreign language and culture as well. And again, you can see where the push is going here. And people might say, well, what's wrong about learning about foreign language and culture? There is nothing wrong about learning about foreign language and culture. You know, in the appropriate, topic, maybe history. But what I can see here, now also, before I go on to this, I just want to go back to the primary school books scheme as well that was brought in, where the schools are supplying the books. And, this was all done by design as well. So they have the books there in the schools, and isn't that fantastic? You might think, yeah, right. So what will happen there is a lot of these school books, you're not going to see them. So you're not going to see the content, you're not going to see what's in these books. Because we all know that in our libraries up and down the country here now in Ireland, there has been very disturbing books in the children's section, and I saw them myself with my own eyes in my own local library. I've seen these books, I've seen the content of the books. It is disgusting, and it's pure perversion of innocent children. What is going on in this country is sick. It's very, very sick. And people are going to have to take a stand. Don't just leave it to one person, to do everything. Come on, people, parents particularly, you're going to have to take a stand on this one. And what's happening as well is it's complete state control now over children. It's nanny state. the government and the state want to rear your children, and they want to mould them in for the future society of Ireland, which will be, it won't be free speech, people. I mean, even just to look down at what they're doing, look at the subtle signs of what they're doing, you know, like pushing kind of one world religion. You know, they want to take away the identity of Ireland. You know, look at the book even that was called out, where they were taking the piss basically out of the Irish with the iron jumpers and eating potatoes and cabbage, and that we were ignorant and we were backwards and all this BS. They're exactly still doing the same thing. They're doing it maybe subtly. You know, it's like boiling the poor frog in the boiling water, you know. It's all going to be subtle. It won't be a straight out, but they're going to be chipping away. But it's very obvious now for people to see. Like, unless you're, you know, your head is in the sand and you're sound asleep, like, to what's going on, this is very, very obvious. What I can see in the future is, I don't think we will have an Irish flag in the future. I believe we will have, like, a European flag. Because all these Western countries now in Europe, it's all just been our identity, our nationalism, and the sovereignty of our countries. It's all been chipped away at. So I think eventually there won't be an Irish flag, and they're already trying to get you used to that by saying you're far right now if you fly your Irish flag. You're racist. You know, just listen again to the language that they use. And it'll just be this, or will be like a communist bloc. I believe Europe will be a communist bloc, because this isn't just happening in Ireland. You know, it's happening in France and England and Germany and all the countries in Europe. It is happening to America, obviously all the Western world. And it'll just be some kind of communist European flag that I think in the future we'll have. That's what they're trying to do. You know, they're chipping away at the religion as well. You know, they don't want us. We're a Christian country here in Ireland. You know, we're Catholic, and they're ashamed of that as well. That's backward as well. That's ignorant. They want to get rid of that. You know, they want this new modern Ireland, you know. And they, you know, it'll be where we'll all just be robotic. We'll have no identity. We all have to think the same. And the very minute you think different, you will be called the usual words. You all know the words now, the usual buzzwords. That's what you'll be called. And that's the way they want your children as well. And prime example of that is during the scamdemic. I can never forget those. They're mentally ingrained in my brain. I can just remember children going to school, and I'm sure you've all seen it. They were walking like zombies. They were like robotic zombies with masks going on around their face. That's the way they want your children. It's all mind control. You know, they want to have them, you know, thinking a certain way. And I've seen it in schools as well, and even in the abortion referendum as well, when there was children in classes that, you know, said they would agree with being pro-life, and those children were ridiculed in classrooms here in Ireland. They were ridiculed, and shame on those teachers, because they had a different opinion, and the opinion had to be pro-choice. If you were pro-life, it was the name calling, you were X, Y and Z. And this is the way it's going, people, you know. I don't want to keep the video too long. I just want to bring this to your attention, and I want to make you aware of what's happening in Ireland. Now, whatever about what's happening in the secondary schools, I haven't even touched on that, I haven't even looked into that. But I think primary school in particular, like, these are young children, you know, they're innocent. Think back of your own childhood. You know, I think back of my own, like when I think of children today and what they're going through, you know, with phones and all this technology and selfies, they gotta look a certain way, and it's just horrible. You know, they're not allowed to be children no more. They're not allowed to be innocent. You know, there's so much pressure on them. That's why so many of our children are on medication now, because of all this BS, you know. And think of Tavistock as well, and all the children that went over there, and they wanted to, you know, go through all these major operations. And it's child abuse what they're doing to children. It's absolutely horrific. And it's time now that people spoke up, you know. And I'm calling on all the men in Ireland as well. We've an awful amount of weak men in Ireland. We really, really do. And I know them because I get attacked by them all the time. So I'm quite familiar with them. They, you know, they're on the fake accounts. They hide behind their screens. I'd say I have more testosterone than they have. They're as weak, and they're cowardly, and they're very nasty as well. And they're attacking anybody that speaks up as well. And, you know, they're ashamed of the Irish flag. And I think you know who I'm on about. Like, and it's just horrific. And I do think, like, there's a lot of women speaking out, but now I know there is men speaking out, but we need more. Like, we need more of the Irish men and the fathers now to stand up for the children, you know, because this is coming in fast now. And you know, I'll put this video up now, and again, I'll be X, Y, and Z. And you know what? I don't care. I don't care what people call me. You can call me all the names under the sun. I don't care. You're not going to silence me, and you're not going to stop me speaking. So, you know, if you want to waste your time, up to yourselves. But look, that's it for now. Keeping the video. It's gone a bit over the time I wanted, but that's okay. Look, just read up on it yourself, do your research. You know, it is bad now what they're trying to do. You know, get your head up out of the sand. You know, this isn't a conspiracy theory anymore. It's reality. We have poor, innocent, beautiful children in Ireland now, and they're going to just destroy them. They're going to sexualise them at a very young age, have them all confused about their identity, who they are, give them more stress, more pressure. You know, and just completely trying to mind control and brainwash. You know, it's wrong. You know, it's wrong. We have to stand up for the innocence of the children here in Ireland. So please, people, take a stand. Please, please do, for the children. Like, subscribe, share, to help with the algorithms, and just to give people with an alternative voice a voice. You know, I don't watch RT, but if you're still watching RT, I just don't know. I just don't know what to say. But anyway, that's it for now and today. Catch you in the next one. Goodbye for now, and thank you.